Today we will learn about estimating with decimals. Please copy down the standard benchmark indicator on a clean page in your math notebook. The student will estimate decimals using addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Estimating with decimals. Two ways to estimate with decimals are rounding and compatible numbers. Compatible numbers often work better for estimating with products and quotients. Example 1. Use rounding to estimate the sum. $12.89 plus $14.29. Round each number to the nearest dollar by looking at the first number to the right of the decimal point. $12.89 rounds to $13. $14.29 rounds to $14. So 13 plus 14 is 27. The whole goal with estimating is that it is something you can do in your head. It shouldn't require a lot of written computation. For the try it, use rounding to estimate the difference, 124 and 772 thousandths minus 49 and 55 hundredths. So first, we're going to round each number to the nearest whole number. 124 and 777 thousandths rounds to 125. And 49 and 55 hundredths rounds to 50. Then we're going to subtract to estimate the difference. So 125 minus 50 is 75. For C through F, we're going to use rounding to estimate each sum or difference. Make sure whenever you're rounding, you always write down the numbers you round with, because if they're not the numbers I choose, it doesn't mean they're wrong. It just might be a different way of rounding. So make sure you write them down so on quizzes and tests and things I can check your work and make sure your rounding makes sense. So for C, we're going to round $23.78 to $24. And then we're going to round $79.82 to $80. Then 24 plus 80 gets us $104. For D, we're going to round 72 and 89 thousandths to 72. Then we're going to round 11 and 78 hundredths to 12. Now we're going to add them. 72 plus 12 is 84. For E, we're going to round $54.88 to $55. And we're going to round $23.40 to $23. Then we're going to subtract, so 55 minus 23 gets us $32. For F, we're going to round 188 and 36 hundredths to 188. And we're going to round 59 and 99 hundredths to 60. Then 188 minus 60 is 128. Example 2. Use compatible numbers to estimate 239 and 15 hundredths divided by 33 and 7/10. Look for numbers that are close to those being divided, but are easy to divide mentally. This means sometimes they're going to round to those numbers. They'll be able to round to that. Other times you're just looking for the closest division fact, which means that number might not round to it. So for example, 239 and 15 hundredths, if we're rounding to the nearest one, it's not going to round up to 240. However, because 33 and 7/10 rounds to 30, 30 is going to go into 240 really easily because 3 goes into 24. So think about your basic division facts and use those to help you find the best set of compatible numbers. So in this case, it's 240 divided by 30 equals 8. So the estimated quotient is 8. Try it. Use compatible numbers to estimate 88 and 23/100ths times 91 and 9/1000ths. So when we're multiplying, when we're trying to estimate, we want numbers that are nice, round, and easy to do in our head. So we're going to round both numbers to 90. Because in this case, we know 9 times 9 is 81, and then we just have to add the 2 zeros on. So we get 8,100. So for I through n, we're going to use compatible numbers to estimate each product or quotient. So for I, we're going to round 48 and 23/100ths to 50, and then we're going to round 5 and 45/100ths to 5. And we know that 5 times 5 is 25, so 5 times 50 will be 250. For J, we have 74 and 87/100ths, so we're going to round that to 70. Eight and 75/100ths will round up to 9. 7 times 9 is 63, and then we just add the 0 on the end. So our answer is 630. For K, we have 65 and 4/100ths divided by 7 and 83/100ths. When you're doing division, always start with the divisor, the second number. So 7 and 83/100ths will round up to 8. Now, for compatible numbers, we want to think about what number is close to 65 that 8 will divide evenly into. In this case, we know 8 goes evenly into 64. So 64 divided by 8 equals 8. For L, we have 129 and 49/100ths divided by 11 and 24/100ths. So we can do this a couple of ways. We can round to 11, or we can round down to 10. So I'm going to show you both ways here. If we round it to 11, we need to think about what number is close to 129 that 11 divides evenly into. 11 will go into 132 an even number of times, so we can round to that. Or we can do 129 and 49/100ths and round that to 130 divided by 10. Either one of those answers is acceptable for L, so it's whichever one you're more comfortable with, whichever one's easier for you to do in your head. For M, we have 37 and 8/10ths times 8 and 9/10ths. So first we're going to round 37 and 8/10ths to 40. And then we round 8 and 9/10ths to 9. Then 9 times 40 is 360. For N, we have 519 and 9/10ths divided by 90 and 6/10ths. So first we're going to round 90 and 6/10ths to 90. And then we're going to think about what is close to 519 and 9/10ths, or close to 520, that 90 divides evenly into. Well, we need to go back and think about our 9 facts. We know 9 goes evenly into 54, So 9 will go evenly into 540. So now, since we know 9 goes into 54 6 times, 90 is going to go into 546 times. So with compatible numbers, it's about finding the closest division fact. Addition, multiplication, and subtraction you can use rounding with. Multiplication you can also use compatible numbers, so it's the one you can do either way. Please make sure you have all the work copied down in your math notebook, and make sure this paper is glued